Have you ever really stopped to think about the sheer biological horsepower it takes for a dairy cow to produce milk? I mean, it's not just a simple faucet. It's literally a high-performance factory, engineered by nature to handle some pretty incredible metabolic demands. So let's take a tour inside, shall we? We're going to explore the fascinating physiology behind one of nature's most impressive production systems. To kick things off, let me just throw a number at you that perfectly captures the intensity of this whole operation: 500 to 1. So what does that mean? Well, that's the ratio of blood that has to pass through the udder to produce just one single liter of milk. Think about that. This is not a passive system at all. It's a metabolic powerhouse, and it's working around the clock. All right, so for our tour today, we're going to go on a journey from the massive all the way down to the microscopic. We'll start big with the impressive anatomy of the udder itself. Then we'll zoom way, way in to the cellular factories that are actually creating the milk. After that, we'll check out the recipe inside those cells. And finally, we'll look at the elegant reflex that gets that finished product out the door. First up, the udder itself. And we're not just talking about a simple bag holding milk here. This is a heavy, super complex organ that needs a serious amount of structural support and a dedicated high-flow blood supply just to function. And the numbers here, they're just mind-boggling. An udder that's full of milk can weigh up to 60 kilograms. That's 132 pounds. And to fuel all that production, during peak lactation, it can demand about 10% of the cow's entire cardiac output. That's incredible. So to carry all that weight, it has to rely on this unbelievably strong internal support system, which is what we're going to look at right now. So this support system is just a brilliant piece of biological engineering. You can think of it like a natural sling made of two very different kinds of ligaments. Right down the center, you've got the median ligament. It's elastic, which is perfect because it allows the udder to expand as it fills up with milk. But on the sides, you have the lateral ligaments, and these are fibrous and non-elastic, providing a super strong, rigid frame. It's this perfect combination that balances flexibility with some serious strength. Okay, so we've seen the impressive external structure. Now let's get our microscopic goggles on. It's time to zoom way in and see the real production floor of this factory, right down to the individual assembly lines. This image gives you a fantastic look at the udder's internal plumbing. Deep inside that glandular tissue, you've got millions of these tiny sacs producing milk. That milk then flows into small ducts, which all merge into bigger and bigger ducts, and eventually they empty into a large holding area called the gland cistern, right before it moves down into the teat. It really is like a river system, starting with millions of tiny little streams. And those tiny little streams, they all start right here, at the alveolus. This is it. This is the fundamental milk-making unit of the whole operation. The easiest way to picture it is to think of a microscopic grape, where the skin of that grape is made of a single layer of super specialized production cells. Let's break that down even further. So on the left, you see the whole production unit. That's the alveolus, and it's wrapped in this rich network of capillaries that are constantly delivering raw materials. Then, on the right, we're zooming in on just one of those individual worker cells. You can see how tightly packed they are, making up the factory floor. Each one is its own little assembly line, just packed with all the machinery it needs to build the different parts of milk. But making milk is only half the battle. You've got to get it out. And that's where these myoepithelial cells come in. They form this incredible basket-like net of muscle fibers all around each one of those little grapes, each alveolus. And when they get a very specific hormonal signal, they contract and literally squeeze the milk out into the duct system. So what exactly is going on inside those secretory cells? Let's move on and take a look at the biochemical recipe for milk and see just how it's all put together. This table just lays it all out so perfectly. That secretory cell is basically a master chef. It pulls specific ingredients, or precursors, directly from the bloodstream. So it grabs glucose, and inside its Golgi apparatus, it whips that up into lactose, the milk sugar. It pulls in amino acids and assembles them into casein proteins, and it snags fatty acids from the blood to build milk fat. Each component is made in a different part of the cellular kitchen. Now, this is absolutely crucial. You have to understand the role of lactose. As this quote explains, lactose is the major osmole. Okay, so what's an osmole? Well, you can think of it like a water magnet. As the cell makes lactose, water from the blood gets pulled into the cell by osmosis to follow it. So it's the synthesis of lactose that fundamentally determines how much milk volume is actually produced. No lactose, no volume. It's that simple. All right, so our milk is made. It's stored in those little alveoli ready to go. But how does the factory get the shipping order to release it all? Well, That happens through this elegant and incredibly rapid process called the milk letdown reflex. It all starts with a simple touch. A calf suckling stimulates nerves in the teat. That signal travels lightning fast up to the brain, which tells the pituitary gland to release the hormone oxytocin. Oxytocin then cruises through the bloodstream right back down to the udder, where it locks on to those myoepithelial cells we talked about, the squeeze cells, and that's the signal for them to contract. This forces all that milk out and into the ducts, making it available. And here you can see the whole thing in action. This diagram puts it all together visually. You can follow the whole chain of events, right from the calf's touch to the grain's response, the hormone release, and finally that rapid movement of milk. And get this whole process is unbelievably fast. We're talking a response time of less than a minute. But here's the catch. The effect is powerful, but it's also very short-lived. Oxytocin shows up in the blood within about 30 seconds, and you can measure the pressure increase in the udder within a minute. But the hormone has a half-life of only 2 to 3 minutes. This is why continuous stimulation, either from a calf or a milking machine, is so important. It keeps the oxytocin coming and ensures the udder gets fully emptied. So you see, this entire incredible system is built around supply and demand. But that begs the question, what happens to the factory when the orders just stop coming in? How does a high-performance system like this power down? Well, the process is called involution, and it's not like just flipping an off switch. It's a very controlled shutdown and renewal process. When milk isn't removed anymore, pressure builds up, and a special protein, a feedback inhibitor, signals those alveolar cells to stop producing. The cells then go through a programmed regression, basically resting and renewing the tissue to get it ready for the next lactation cycle. And this kind of brings us to a final thought. We've seen the incredible production, the complex chemistry, the lightning-fast reflexes. But maybe, just maybe, the most remarkable feat of all is the gland's ability to repeatedly cycle through growth, massive production, and then a safe, orderly shutdown, all so it can be ready to do the whole thing over again. It's a complete, beautiful life cycle of creation and renewal.